So an incident at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant absolutely could have long-term and widespread effects on Ukraine as well as the rest of the world. Hi, my name is DJ. I am a radiation health physicist. I have a lot of experience in nuclear plant emergency response. In my previous video, I mentioned that the likelihood of a nuclear plant accident is extremely low, and the likelihood that that accident would cause any health effects to the populations around it are even lower. But that doesn't mean that you couldn't still cause a lot of harm to people. Right now, there are people in South Korea who are buying up a bunch of salt because they're afraid of a very, very tiny tritium release from the Fukushima nuclear power plant, even though the likelihood of having any sort of contaminants in the salt in South Korea is extremely low. That's because the words radiation and radioactivity and nuclear carry a lot of weight, and we assign disproportionately a lot of risk even when there is no risk. So even a very tiny release from the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant would have a lot of psychological and economic effects on Ukraine. As you might know, Ukraine is a major supplier of wheat, specifically wheat that is going to places like Africa. And if there was just a tiny release, all of that wheat would be tainted, even though there's probably not going to be any inside of it. So I understand the desire to kind of talk up this sort of release that might occur at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, but this is basically, whether or not it's intended by Russia or not, walking into a Russian terrorism trap. So how do we counter this sort of psychological terrorism before any sort of event happens? Well, you talk about it. You make videos like this. You share videos like this. Increasing your understanding and knowledge about radiation and the risks of radiation or lack thereof can basically pull the rug out of under these Russian terrorists. In this case, knowledge is your greatest defense.